I'm Cheryl Grace, corporate executive and founder of the lifestyle brand Powerful Penny. When I started my career, no one would help me. And I vowed that if I ever became successful, I would make it my business to mentor others. I've done just that for 20 plus years. And what I know for sure is that names change, but the challenges rarely do. So join me as I mentor 5 professionals in real time on Live from the Pink Couch. Who knows? You might just discover a solution to your career dilemma.
Hi everyone, I'm Cheryl Grace and welcome to episode 7 of Live from the Pink Couch. We're actually live today on Facebook, so welcome to all of our Facebook family and friends. But if you're joining us for the very first time, what you need to know is that we originally had 5 mentees when we started, and we now have 4 because the newbie mentee, Maya, actually achieved her goal of earning $50,000 for her first job right out of college. And so she's been booted out of our next level tribe of mentees. We have joining us now the remaining 4 mentees, all striving to reach their pink elephant goals. And I'm going to explain to you what that is in a few minutes. But this week, the Next Level Tribe was asked to do a group assignment, which is different than any of their other previous homework assignments, which were all individually based. But because everyone is reaching a point now where they need to market and promote themselves to achieve their goals, I asked them to watch a LinkedIn learning video entitled Delivering an Authentic Elevator Pitch. It's taught by Tatiana Colavu, a professor of business communications at the Kelley School of Business. Now, according to Professor Colavu, research shows that elevator pitches are very important because a person can tell if they trust you in as little as a half second to 3 seconds. Professor Colavu also says that there are 2 dimensions that you can change right now to impact other people's impression of you. Those 2 dimensions are number 1, warmth. Do I like you? Can I trust you? And number 2, competence. Can I rely on you? Do you get things done? So let's listen to our mentees as they go through their elevator pitches with us today. And I want you to remember that you can learn from doing these assignments right along with the hashtag Next Level Tribe. So you may want to check out Delivering an Authentic Elevator Pitch on LinkedIn yourself. It's free, only 38 minutes, and you have nothing to lose but everything to gain. Hi, you guys. Hi, everybody. We are live from the Pink Couch today. This is actually our 3rd month, if you can believe it. We've been doing this now for 3 consecutive months. We started February 23rd. Today is May 23rd. And so happy anniversary, mentees.
Yay!
Yay! So I want to make sure, first of all, that I introduce everyone. We have with us today Jacqueline Luttrell, Jacqueline Wave. Hi. So Jacqueline is our Career 2.0 mentee, and she just graduated last week. If you tuned into episode 6, you know that Jacqueline graduated last week. Woohoo!
Yes, finally.
And her pink elephant goal, and pink elephants are big, huge, audacious goals that you need a little bit of faith. You have to lean into your faith. You break it into individual small bites in order to accomplish that goal. And you have to ask for help. And so I'm the help part in all of this. And Jacqueline's pink elephant goal is to secure a job in photojournalism by September 2020.
Yes.
So we've got 4 months, June, July, August, September. Yeah, we've got 4 months. So,
yes.
Right, Jacqueline?
Yes.
Okay. And then next we have Miley Garcia. Hey, Miley.
Hi.
Miley is our Rising Star mentee, and she has been working with a nonprofit organization now for 3 years. She's got 16 years of experience, and her pink elephant goal is to get promoted to a VP role, either with her current employer or, if she has to go to grow, she's considering that as well. Welcome, Miley.
Thank you, Cheryl.
And then we have Darsh. Darsh is our Lone Star mentee. Hi, Darsh.
Hi.
Darsh has a pink elephant goal of opening up a food truck. This is actually a revised goal because originally she wanted to open up a restaurant. We've revised it to a food truck, and now we've revised the timeline to January 2023. So say hi to Darsh. And then we have Rebecca, and Rebecca is our hopeful mentee. Rebecca's coming to us live from Louisiana, New Orleans, and her pink elephant goal is to ensure that she lands a great job that is very comparable in responsibility and salary to the one that she had almost 2 years ago before she got laid off. So say hi to Rebecca. Hey, Rebecca.
Hi.
Okay, so this episode 7, what we are concentrating on is we are working on our elevator pitches. Elevator pitches are really very, very important simply because they allow you to sum up your experiences and share who you are to anyone, not just an employer, but anyone that you happen to be networking with in a very succinct but personable and warm fashion. And so the mentees are given a homework assignment. And usually those homework assignments are very distinct and unique to each individual. However, after 3 months, we've reached a point where we recognize that everyone who is still participating with us needs to know how to summarize who they are for various reasons to different audiences, but they've got to be ready for that. And so Jacqueline is about to start going on interviews, and she's going to be meeting with photo editors. And Miley is going to need to have her elevator pitch down pat when she sits in front of her boss and shares why she should be promoted to VP. And Darsh is going after a rather significant small business loan, so she's got to be ready for those loan officer interviews. And Rebecca is interviewing, trying to get that next gig. And so she's got to be able to answer that question. So tell me about yourself. Each person has been given a different assignment based on that. Rebecca's assignment is to give her elevator pitch when she runs into the CEO by chance. Where else? On an elevator. So we're going to start with you, Rebecca, with your elevator pitch. I'm a CEO. Act as if you just ran into me on the elevator. We're on the 30th floor. We're working our way down. And yeah, go.
Well, hi, Cheryl. It's so good to see you today. And I wanted to take this time to give you an opportunity, oh my God, I need to start over. Okay. This is so much pressure. Okay. Hi, Cheryl. It's so good to see you today. And this is the perfect time for me to just let you know a little bit about myself. My story starts down south in New Orleans, where we have this mantra that says, laissez le bon temps rouler. And what does that mean? That means let the good times roll. And I have been doing that throughout my entire career. I started out in high school as a yearbook staff member. I also had my own television show in high school as well. So communication has been ingrained in me at a young age. I studied communications in college and even went on to be a business reporter. And then I decided to go to graduate school to even further my career in communications. And I got a master's in integrated marketing communications. Such a fancy word, right? It is just what I call myself, which is a hybrid communicator. I've spent more than 10 years in the areas of multicultural marketing, experiential activations, as well as social media creation and digital creation. I think my most proud of the areas that I've done in multicultural communications and marketing, where I worked with teams that really push the envelope as it relates to ensuring that diverse communities, African American, Hispanic, and Asian, and more of the like, are represented and are definitely counted And so I know at this company, those values of being inclusive and representation matters is definitely something that aligns with the fabric of my being. So I hope that this was a lot for you to actually think about. And I look forward to having more conversations with you so that I can really learn more about the company and see where I can fit in and help you continue to excel.
Wow, Rebecca, very good. That was so good. How do you feel?
I feel like a weight has been lifted off of me. I feel good. I mean, it's, throughout this entire journey, it has definitely, I would say, forced me to be succinct. And we've talked about this multiple times, that I've got so much history and so much, stuff on my resume. And I do like to tell stories and I like to talk. And sometimes I just don't know how to cut it off. So for this particular exercise, I just really thought about telling who I am and telling my story. And I looked at the LinkedIn learning that you sent us. But I thought, for me, I do better with bullet points. So I wrote down bullet points on what I knew I wanted to hit. I knew I wanted to hit that I was from New Orleans. I like the fact that I'm a hybrid communicator. But I never really also talk about kind of my high school, because I just thought that that wasn't really relevant. But it really helped me and made me feel a little bit comfortable to really show the essence of who I am beyond my resume.
I loved it. It showed that you were a communicator right from the start. I loved hearing, well, let me stop and ask the other mentees what their takeaway was from your elevator pitch, and then I'll come in. Okay. So who'd like to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I thought it was amazing because it really gave one heck of a background as far as who you are and where you're from. And really, when it comes to where you're from, your pride in describing that, I thought that was a really nice touch that really makes you stand out. And just all the things that you've done. I mean, I've been listening to you as we go along, but it's like, wow, I didn't have that. I had no idea. So yes, I'm impressed.
Thank you. Thank you, Jacqueline.
And I can go too, and kind of going off that same note, I kind of love the fact that you tied in high school, right? Because not everybody knows where you started or where you even got the passion for communication from.
Yeah.
So I think it was really unique that you even added that story, because it creates a cohesive story, right? You're like, I love communication. This is what I've done to back that up. And that's awesome. Great job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Darsh.
I thought it was amazing. I mean, truly, from the beginning to the end, you really had my attention. I think you unfolded your own story, and I think that's what the other folks are sort of talking about, but it's how well it just bled into where you are today and the talents you've been able to develop over the years. So it was great.
Thank you.
It is, Rebecca. It's the first time I feel like you've told me your story succinctly, and I get the whole picture. I get that you've been a talkative person all of your life, and that you turned that natural innate ability, because not everybody has that, and you turned it into a career. And you've been very mindful about it. You went back to graduate school. You've done several different types of roles. I feel like I heard and understood the Rebecca Roussel story for the first time in under 3 minutes.
Right.
And in under 3 minutes.
90 days, y'all.
Took us 90 days to get to under 3 minutes, but we have made it. Eureka! Right. We're making it. That's great. So that's what I would do, Rebecca, for your answers to your questions. Mm-hmm. One of your homework assignments, and I think it was from episode 5, was to do a mock interview with at least 3 people. And I did have the honor and the privilege of going in and looking at some of those. I think you did a good job, but I still think a little bit of those answers were sometimes long. And I know you and I discussed that last week, because you thought that you kind of felt that way. And I felt that way too. And then I timed them. So on the clock, it wasn't just our imagination. It was the clock was saying some of those answers were 3 or 4 minutes long. So what I love about how to answer these questions that we took away from this LinkedIn exercise is storytelling. You're telling your story from high school. And again, every single interview question that you answer, you're not going to start from high school, of course, but you can tell a story and have a beginning and a middle and an end to that story. And of course, the end is going to include the metrics that you accomplished. And one of your interviewers said that you did a great job in highlighting the metrics, and you did. I just need you to squeeze the story together a little bit more so the beginning isn't too far from the end, right? But good. So you felt good about this, I could tell.
I did.
It shows.
And I definitely see the difference.
There's a huge difference. And everybody knows who Rebecca is. And we know what you did and what you're doing and what you want to do. So keep that up. That was really good.
Yay.
Okay, yay. All right. Let's see. Who wants to go next? Do I have any volunteers or y'all going to make me force you?
Mine is like...
Darsh? Okay, yay. Darsh, let's go. All right. So just so we know, Darsh is going to be doing this, and I'm going to be looking at my clock. Darsh is going to be doing this. I'm going to actually start the stopwatch. Darsh is, Darsh, how much money are you going to be asking for when you go in for this loan?
$100,000.
Okay, so Darsh is going in after a little bit of change. And so we want to hear her pitch to a loan officer. So I'm the loan officer, and Darsh, I'll start the clock when you start talking.
Okay. Hi, Cheryl. Thanks for taking the time to chat with me today. I really appreciate you allowing me to tell you a bit of my story. So Chat is a fast casual Indian food truck. Foodies, are looking for more than just the generic Americanized tikka masalas and saag paneers. And Chat is looking to break those stereotypes with fresh, local, vegetable-forward bites. We help consumers get affordable Indian food in downtown Chicago wherever they want, whenever they want. And we help diversify the city's palate one bite at a time at the same time. Our primary competitive advantage is our unique take on Indian street food and our commitment to tradition. We are targeting the $1 billion U.S. truck for food trucks. We make money by keeping our cost of production low, but our cost of sale high. And we acquire our customers using online marketing campaigns and referral programs. I personally have over 10 plus years of cooking knowledge, and to date have now hosted 50 plus pop-ups and built up the brand in the Chicago community. So I'm here today seeking $100,000 in funding, which I will use to fund the next 2 years of my business plan and achieve profitability. So what do you say?
Okay, I feel like this is a Shark Tank. So sharks, are you with us?
I'll bite.
Okay, sharks, are you with us? I want to say, do you have any samples you can hand out to us?
Yeah, right. Virtually.
So that was about a minute and a half. And what I loved about it, Darsh, was you added in, and I don't know if this is true or not, but you said you have over 10 years of cooking experience. Is that true?
It is. I've been cooking for the past 10 years of my life.
Oh, wow.
So Darsh,
or longer than that, but
we've known you for like 90 days. This is the first time we've heard that.
Yeah.
Because I've been meaning to ask you, hey, by the way, can you cook?
Yeah. I just thought you wanted to open a food truck.
I didn't know you could cook, Darsh. That's one of the questions I heard about your grandfather and your grandparents, how you grew up with some of these unique Indian dishes with them, but I didn't know you had 10 years experience of cooking. And the pop-ups, tell me about the pop-ups.
Yeah, for sure. Food hall scene is huge, especially in Chicago. And what they are now doing is something called restaurant staging, where it's unpaid. So back to college days now with an unpaid internship, but in a career that I actually want. So restaurant staging allows you to learn a bit more about what it is like to work in a kitchen, and learn techniques from the chef. And same goes for food trucks as well. Part of my business plan outlies spending, every other weekend on a food truck, working through the line. So I feel like with those pop-ups, not only are people tasting your food, but they're associating chat with, oh, Darsh, okay, she can cook. Oh, wait, when is the food truck opening? I don't want to just go for another pop-up. So that's what that should attest to.
Wow, I had no idea. So, okay, I'm going to let other people talk before I go on, but who has some feedback for Darsh?
I had no idea you were that wrong.
Right. Who knew? This is where we look surprised.
Yeah, right.
I was like, I thought you just.
It's like, wow, I was already impressed with you, but even more.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think one, that was definitely a surprise to me, because like I said, I just thought you wanted to open a food truck, because there are people that are business minds that want to be entrepreneurs and don't necessarily know the skill or the task, but they just see the vision. I think I would say you were, just straight to the point. You had the points that you wanted to make were really clear, especially for this type of audience. You're asking for money, so you were right on the money as far as like what this was. I just thought that it could have been a little bit fun for you to engage with Cheryl like right off the bat. So like something kind of starting. When's the last time you've been to a food truck? Or, because they're so prevalent now, I think that could have been a great way for you to kind of just be a little bit conversational right on the onset, and then kind of go into your pitch, because I know you did do that at the end, because you were like, so what do you say? But, I think that would have been just a quick question to kind of start that off, to really actually say, well, you know what? Because I would have thought that like, well, you know what? I actually did go to a food truck yesterday. And, something like that. And, those types of things, like when you ask those types of questions, you never know what type of similarities that you might have in somebody that you are meeting for the first time that really can keen on the decision making at the end of it.
Okay, cool. No, that's a good point. And I will add that into that pitch as well. Because, I don't remember the last time I've been to a food truck.
Well, now, because of COVID. But,
right.
But, especially it's definitely a thing now. And it's like food trucks are kind of like such a nuanced kind of cool thing. And there's so many different ones. I thought it'd been a great idea to do.
Cool.
Very good.
I had one thought that I wanted to share. I really liked how you differentiated your offering, because you talked a little bit about the regular old tikka masala or the other food items that you listed. So that was good to hear how your product is going to be different. Knowing that you're going to be sharing this pitch with a bank, you didn't really touch on profitability that much. So maybe there's some room there to talk a little bit about your model or why you believe that this will be successful in terms of dollars and cents. But otherwise, I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I had the same original feedback, which was I thought it was a very confident pitch. The only thing I really felt like was lacking were the financials. And if I'm a banker, that's what I want you to kind of zoom in on. I do appreciate the look at the diversity of the cuisine and the passion came through, but I want to know how I'm going to get my money back. Right. So I want to see a little bit of that. And I think it may have also been helpful just to even allude to the fact that you've brought with you a business plan. And while it will give you a little bit more detail about how I'm planning on structuring the financials of the business, I really wanted to reassure you that I see this, being break even by year 3. These are some of the initial costs, and this is the reason why I'm coming for the loan now. More of that is what I would have wanted to hear. But you've got plenty of time because, like I said, we only went for about 1.5 minutes. So you've got plenty of time to add that.
Cool.
Okay. Very good. Okay, I'm excited. All right, Miley, we're going to take you in with your boss and your boss's boss. And you've been toiling at our company for 3 years now, and it's time for you to get a raise. So let's hear it.
Okay. As you know, I'm a communications professional, and I've got decades of corporate and nonprofit experience at this point. I've been with the organization for 3 years. In this role, I really feel like I've been able to leverage strategic communications to help solve lots of interesting issues and opportunities that the organization has encountered. And I also think I've been able to really bring people together through our communications function that I've built. It's fundamental for all that we do, and I really enjoy being able to use it to problem solve. I'm energized by being able to build teams and processes and to connect people. As you know, or you may not know, I grew up in a single family home in a rural town where resources were limited, and it was through my own personal experience that I've really been able to uncover my desire to help support others. And I've been able to think about how my current communications experience will be a foundation for me to build on into transitioning into more of a community affairs role, helping to support communities and their members by connecting them to resources that enrich their lives today and in the future. I feel like I've been able to understand the needs of our participants, and I have been able to uncover more about communities that I may not have known about before. And because of this, I'd like to be considered for the Vice President role of Community Affairs at the organization.
Okay, thank you. We're going to take that under consideration right away. Feedback. Feedback.
I feel like it was a very confident pitch. I feel like she listed out a lot of what she's done to deserve it, in terms of, one, where she comes from in terms of her background and what led her to where she is now, and what she's done while she's been within the team. But I think you said that you've done a lot, and what I'd love to hear a bit more about was that you've done a lot of projects to help the team, but what were those projects specifically?
Right.
Yep. Thank you.
Yep.
I agree with Darsh. I definitely, from the onset, I could hear your passion. I could definitely hear that you were extremely genuine, because I believe that in order to work at a nonprofit, you definitely have to, I don't say you have to, but I think you're more successful if you, one, have a connection to that organization's cause, or have some sort of personal relationship or can align with that organization's cause. So I definitely heard your passion and the genuineness coming out of it. I think that you could, like we talked about, last week, that, there could have been just a little bit more convincing for me. And maybe that was the lack of the one project. I think what have really knocked it over the park was just saying a particular project that you were extremely passionate about that really sets you apart from everyone in that organization. And for, we're looking at vice presidents, that's leadership like 101. People are looking for leaders and people that can actually not just activate and bring people along, but leaders. So I would have loved to see that one project, because I think that would have really just sailed it out of the park. But other than that, your points of being passionate and genuine about what you do definitely came out.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Good.
You're welcome.
For me, from the perspective of a photographer, as I was listening to you, it's like I could feel what you were talking about. And if you were to tell me something that you wanted me to photograph about your organization, I would not have had any problem with what direction to go in, just by the way you talk about it. Yes, the passion that comes through, that's what draws my attention. That's what helps me tell the story for someone. So I loved your pitch. I thought you did a great job.
Thank you.
Very good. Very good. So I thought it was...
I'm sorry. Can I say one more thing? There was one other thing. You know how when I started with my personal story, I liked how you actually kind of wove your personal story on the back end. I just felt like that was the perfect place to have your story told, because I know in a lot of the things that we saw in LinkedIn, they were hounding like, say your personal story, but then I don't think they really said like when to actually put that in. And I really liked how it just flowed, and it's not something that you started off with, but you were able to bring that essence to who you personally were at the end, and it still grabbed my attention, even if it was at the beginning.
Yeah, I would say that I agree with everything that the mentees have shared with you today, in that I do like how, because I didn't know the part about you coming from a single family home, and how that is what has shaped your desire to do good in the world. You've been very, very clear about that from day one, Miley. That is a consistent perspective that you bring to your desire to do corporate social responsibility. I love how now I understand where this desire comes from, in addition to understanding what your background is. The only thing that I still need you to do is step up and show that leadership, right? And so you said, I've done, it was always we've done, several projects, and we've worked through issues. So once again, I didn't feel that Miley separated herself from her team, and I have no idea what those metrics were that set you above par everyone else. And I would like to have at least 3 examples of what you've done as a leader since you've been here for the last 3 years. I'd like to have very distinct examples of what that looks like. I'd like to have very distinct KPIs that you hit that were unexpected, that show your leadership competency, capabilities, and strengths. And because of that, this is why I'm so confident that I'm ready to be a VP here, marry my results with my passion, and you've got the perfect person for this job.
Great.
Does that make sense?
Yes, and it's not surprising. Sometimes I struggle a little bit with how much detail versus like categorically. So talking about like, I guess I'm asking for feedback. Like if I was to say, it was through my relentless pursuing of securing internal communications function that has allowed us to develop one that has been, more critical than ever right now as we experience this pandemic. Is that enough sort of detail or more?
Say it again for me.
Yep. So through my relentless pursuing of creating an internal communications function in the organization, we have been internal communications has been more critical than ever. And if it had not been for my drive to make sure that that was a part of this team, the organization would be in a very different place.
How? What does that mean? It would be in a very different place. Talk me through. So you advocated relentlessly for something. I'm still internal comms, but I'm still not sure what you advocated for. Is that having a crisis communications plan? Is that having a distribution list that enabled us to reach out quickly and succinctly to 1,000 people? Like, I don't know. Give me some numbers here.
In the history of the organization, there was never an internal communications function. It was through my advocacy that we were able to approve a role that has led us to communicate effectively to all staff during the pandemic. If I would not have advocated for this role, the employee staff understanding and preparedness for continuing to work in this circumstance would not have been as effective. It's a little wordy, but I'm trying to distill, like, if we hadn't launched it, we would have been in a really bad place in terms of employee information.
And I'm getting there. You're getting there. So did you hire a person to oversee internal comms?
I have one staff member, and then she has a coordinator role. So we launched this in October of last year.
Okay. So I need to be very clear, or you should be very clear with me on what you did and the results. So I'm so glad I advocated for an internal comms position and that we brought Melody and Samantha on. As a result of having the two are they full-time workers?
Yes.
As a result of having these two full-time employees, we were able to handle the pandemic. As a result of having them in place, and then what did they do since they were in place once the pandemic hit? As a result of having them in place, we were able to communicate to our 1,000 employees. How many employees do we have?
1,800.
All right. So we were able to communicate seamlessly, daily, weekly, bi-weekly, whatever that time frame is, to 1,800 employees, right? Mm-hmm. So already your vision enabled the company to be responsive. And what does that result look like too? So that means that, and are there remote locations for your offices?
Yes.
So we were able, like, how many remote locations?
Well, we're in like 6 different countries, and then we've got about 24 offices in Chicagoland.
And did you handle the internal comms for all of that?
Yep.
Oh my God, Miley. How am I just finding these things out about you people after 3 months? Like, oh my God, you're global.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? So
that's a feat, because there's so many different methods versus the US versus Europe versus Latin America.
Well, I would say, yeah, the international is not as sophisticated. Our primary staff base is US. And so that was where most of the energy went. We did consult on some crisis sort of communications for the country offices, but really that's, No. You don't get to do that. You don't get to say, well, really, like, no, it wasn't like that. You get to make it. I mean, they were there, they know, but whether or not you had a fully detailed strategy country by country is not what's important here. What's important is that you advocated and secured a full-time team, and it could be a small team. That's not relevant right now. A full-time team who could address the internal communications during a pandemic. We had this. We were able to do it with the emphasis here on the United States, but also the other countries as well. Period. I don't think that your executive director is going to know, well, we sent out 100, internal correspondences in the United States, but we only sent out like 15 or 2 in these countries. I don't think he's or she is that deep in the woods, in the weeds, right? So don't do yourself a disservice by downplaying your abilities. The fact that this is the first time we've heard about the globalization of what you've done, the fact that you have gotten in 2 headcounts, that's no minor thing, 2 headcount to do this, that you're communicating with 1,800 associates in a timely manner. And then I would just add like what those communication opportunities afforded you as a nonprofit. Mm-hmm. So in real time, we were able to say, and I don't know, like I'm making this up, but in real time, we were able to share that when the offices were closing, in real time, we had a strategy in place for
how we were going to communicate regularly with each other since we weren't in the office space. In real time, we talked about, I need examples of what you were able to do. And then you tie that back in with, these are just some of the operational responsibilities that I've been leading as the head of this team, as the director of this team. I'm ready for more. And I think I've shown that I can do more. I would really like to, I don't know if you know, but, I'm from a single parent household. And I don't know, I'm making this up. We relied on social services when I was coming up. I know firsthand how important they are. I've seen from our clients how important, I don't know if you call them clients or if you call them participants. I've seen the value that they get from us. And I would love to take this to the next level as the vice president of social responsibility, corporate responsibility, whatever it is. You see, it doesn't sound braggadocious. It sounds confident. You're clear, and I've got the metrics. You've got the metrics to boost all of that up. How does that feel?
It feels good. It feels good. I have to think about this more because I've got a lot of examples. It's just synthesizing and distilling them into something that can show the two, or the from to the two.
Yep. That's what I'd like you to work on, is give me 3 solid examples, replete with those KPIs, right? I want to know what the result, I want to know what the problem was that you fixed, or what the opportunity was that you had a vision for, and how you were able to bring that vision to life. And I want to hear numbers. 1,800 people, 6 countries. How many members are there that participate in your nonprofit organization? Participants.
Millions.
So of the millions of individuals, and communications falls under your auspices to help communicate externally?
Yes. Yeah. I think one of the areas I'm going to focus on for this is just our storytelling and our narratives and our ability to create compelling, moving impact stories that through my leadership, I've been able to garner impressions 10-fold, 20-fold. Primarily we were a reactive function, and we were only able to tell a few stories once a year or so. And now we've developed a monthly newsletter that's chock full of our policy and participant impact stories that not only do we send to our 13,000 members, but we put on our website. We promote all of our 4 social channels. And we really, every story that we cultivate, the intention is to be able to distribute it across many platforms to engage audiences to get to know who we are as an organization and why they should support our work.
Hot damn, girl, you got it. Oh my God. Yay. Oh my God.
That was it.
That was it, Miley. That was it. You really merged all of it together. You brought it home. Oh my goodness. That was wonderful. Do you feel the difference in that story?
Yeah, I do. I have to think about it differently. Think about it from up here and how the pieces kind of support that. I think that's where, I have the up here, but it's plugging in the support pieces that sometimes falls a little bit to the wayside or doesn't come through as strongly. And so now I know where I need to focus to uplift those accomplishments.
I'm very proud of you. I feel like, and I know we still have you, Jacqueline, but I feel like there have been some breakthroughs today. And out of all of our sessions, I feel that you all feel that too. Is that my imagination, or we all? Yeah. Yeah. So that was great, Miley. Package it up. Bring it back next week. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. And last but certainly not least, we have Jacqueline, and Jacqueline is as I indicated at the beginning, Jacqueline just graduated from Columbia University, the class of 2020, with her, yes, yay, with her bachelor's degree in photojournalism. And, you know, the beauty about Jacqueline's story is Jacqueline starting over from scratch. And she is now on her third career, I think you said, on her third career. And so, but this time she's going and she's following her passion. And so Jacqueline's assignment was to reach out to photo editors at some of the really large media entities that she's, you know, going to be working at, one of them. So whether it's the Washington Post, and I think that's your assignment, the Washington Post, the New York Times, any of the larger publications. And so Jacqueline, you're pitching me on you as a photo editor at Washington Post. That's who I am. So welcome, let's go.
Well, hello, Cheryl. My name is Jacqueline Luttrell, and I am a recent graduate of Columbia College Chicago with my bachelor's in photojournalism. Even though I am a recent graduate, I do hold 2 additional degrees, one in multimedia video and also in graphic design, and those are associates. I have 6 years of experience being a photographer of combat sports, covering everything from MMA, boxing, Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu, from coverages in Michigan to Pennsylvania, Ohio, East Coast, Texas, Missouri, and it's been a huge part of my passion because my son started out as a fighter in 2013, and my thing was to photo document his journey. And what happened was I ended up falling in love with the sport, and that's what led to me in this avenue. But while also on my educational path, I did an internship for the marketing department at KVCC. After graduating in 2016, I became the staff photographer of the college. And while there, I was recruited by Columbia College Chicago, based on my combat sports pictures, to be recruited into the photojournalism department. Before I left Kalamazoo, I did also have a following of people from having 2 solo art shows, which was based on my photos from combat sports. So I did also have a following, and everyone knows this was something that I was passionate about. Upon coming to Columbia, I ended up getting hired by the Columbia Chronicle, which was an amazing experience and gave me, you know, just a hands-on experience of working in a newsroom. With all of that, I am used to working under deadline. Photography is my passion, and it's not about taking pictures. It's about connecting with the people to make the photo happen and tell the story. I'm also used to working under deadline and pressure, and I know I could bring my heart and soul to your organization.
All right, then. Well, where do I sign you up, Ms. Jacqueline Luttrell? Good job. Very good job. I'll take feedback from some of the other ladies before I offer mine.
I loved something that you said at the end. It was the line about it's not just story or not just photos, but it's photos to tell stories. It was like right before your close. And I'm wondering if that is some way that you can also like bookend it, like maybe say something similar at the top that says, you know, something like, I'm an artist, but I'm a storyteller through imagery. And, you know, that sort of gives you that runway to then talk about all the different experiences, because you also mentioned like graphic design and multimedia, and all of those things work so well together that that it, you know, I don't know, I like the storytelling and through images.
Okay.
And then maybe you can talk about how you've done photography nationally. You listed off a lot of different states and regions. I ended up thinking about like the states when you were talking about them, rather than I think what you were trying to convey is that like you've been all over the nation to cover important events through your photography. So maybe just thinking about the footprint that you have a little bit differently. But it was great.
Thank you. Writing this down.
I was just about to say, I think what Miley said was literally what I was thinking. So I agree with everything Miley said.
Okay.
To that point too, I didn't even know you started because of your son. I feel like we're all like learning about like people's like origin story, which is, I mean, myself included, but like that's awesome. Because I feel like that adds like a human part of it, right? Like it's like you had so much passion because you wanted to document what your son was doing, but then you're like, wait, I actually kind of like love this too. And then your story like goes forward, right? Because it moves away from you documenting your son to now finding your footing and the passion that you discovered through that.
Yeah, it was like within 4 months of photographing him, I started getting hired to shoot fight promotions. It was crazy.
Wow. Okay, so that
were
needs
you
to be
getting
in that
discovered?
story.
Oh, I'm sorry, Cheryl.
I'm sorry. I would say I think that should be a part of your story, that within 4 months of shooting your son, you started getting hired. And that's when you knew you had a gift that you could monetize and turn into a career. I think that that's an important point to make. That was new. That was just something that we just pulled out of you. I feel like I'm pulling here, pulling there, pulling everything out of you guys, little by little.
How did you get hired? Were you sharing this on social media then, or how were you discovered?
I posted the pictures on Facebook, and it just blew up.
Got it.
And
so you went viral.
Yeah, it kind of went viral, and I actually approached the promoter and asked if I could photograph the show, and I didn't even know the settings on my camera, and he hired me, and it just took off.
So that within itself also frames up a story, right? Like that talks about intentionality. It talks about chutzpah, right? It talks about, vision, determination, drive, and you took your passion and you were willing to take a risk. You didn't know if they would say, yes, we want to hire you right away. You didn't even know what the settings were on your camera. Right. I think that's a great story. That's going to be something as I talk about who you are. I'm like, here's a woman who went out and pitched herself, and she didn't even, as a photographer, and she didn't even know on her camera. That's a story, Jacqueline. That's something that you can frame up. And and so I think the more you all talk about your stories and share your passions, the easier it becomes for you to recognize what the selling points are, what sets you apart from everyone else. And that's really what the purpose of this exercise was to try to get you in a succinct fashion to do that. I would like you to streamline a little, as you've heard from the others, the fact that you had a national presence, and, without going state by state by state, but the fact that you were asked to travel across the United States in more than 10 states, right? Okay. Give me a number. I'd like to also know how many photos over the years you've been able to shoot. So I've honed my skill with this by shooting more than 10,000 images, I'm sure, in the short time that I've been doing this. And I don't know if that's a high number. I'm just making that up. Mm-hmm. I also would like you to share that through your education, you've been blessed with the opportunity to follow U.S. presidential candidates, because I didn't hear that. And
I forgot that part.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one during a political year. Yeah. Right. And what I also want you to use is to work in what you heard from Brent Lewis, and shout out again to Lori, who bought us Brent from the New York Times. He's a photo editor over there. But what I'd like to hear you talk about is how you didn't just shoot, and the importance of, not just shooting what everybody else, every other photographer can get, but what I can get is behind the scene images as well. Because we heard that that's what they're looking for. So this is a great time for you to weave in some of the advice that you've gotten from the coach that we had on for you, weave in what you've learned and say, you understand that. Like, that's not something that someone's going to have to teach you. That's no longer on the job training. Yeah. And then lastly, and again, I know this is a lot for 3 minutes and
so okay.
You can go back and work on it. But lastly, what you understand is the historic value that photojournalism brings to the world. And when, 20, 50 years from now, whether we're still here or not, what I know is that the photos that I've taken of COVID-19 and during the pandemic are going to last beyond my lifetime. That's why I have such a passion for photojournalism, is because I am helping tell history. Something like that, because you can't not have a conversation right now and not talk about COVID-19.
Exactly. And the photos that I have been posting have been, stuff that I've documented, just kind of going back in time a little bit. The other thing is, because as a photojournalist, I also have to be able to do more than take pictures. I can do documentaries. I can do short docs, like a short doc premiere at the Oak Park Film Festival that I did about Muddy Waters. So you're
multifaceted. So that's multifaceted, and that's definitely a skill now that is so important because of being, if we're talking about traditional newsrooms, they are smaller, and people, there's definitely a lot of multimedia journalism. So being able to take a photo for an Instagram account and take a photo for a newspaper, taking a photo that might end up in a package in TV, or doing a short video to accompany a news article or something for IGTV. That's definitely something that is extremely important, and multifaceted is the word that you can definitely say.
And that's such a strong word, multifaceted. I think it's also for all of us, like going forward, thinking about what the new normal looks like post, COVID-19. When we come out of this, the expectations are going to be that there are fewer jobs available, and that we're going to have to do more. And if you're already positioned to do that, that's a selling point. And so we want to make sure you're ready to sell.
Okay.
But overall was good. Overall today, guys, really, really good. I learned a lot about you all. I'm very impressed with each one of you. And I am going to ask, next week, we're going to do this one more time. 2 weeks from now, the second Sunday of June. We're going to do this again. And again, take back the feedback that you've gotten from the team. And let's be ready to go. Okay. Do you have any questions from anybody today?
This really helped. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Great exercise.
Okay, very good. I'm very proud of you guys. We're live on Facebook right now, so make sure you share this. I'm also going to edit it and drop in what your Pink Elephant goals are, because those are so important. And so I'll see you the second Sunday of June. Bye.
See you in June.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Check out the full Live from the Pink Couch web series and keep up with all 5 mentees' progress on powerfulpenny.com. This has been a Powerful Penny LLC Pink Elephant production.